We should all wear No Shadus for a year. Different one, different bezel, but we should all wear one. And that would be a nice long-term review.
If they want to send us them, I'm in.
We know they have them in stock.
Boy, do they selling them quickly.
We love them. We want everyone to share our passion for the Oceanus.
Right, we do a clapping at the show, but we've changed it because we don't need it anymore. So I thought this week we will clap in advance for Chrono29 going dark. So for the most inane marketing email that I received, I think we just do that every week. We celebrate the most inane marketing email that we get sent every week. So any watch folk out there, including obviously you three, you just could be on the lookout for the piece of watch news that needs recognised as being just the most daft thing to tell us in any given week. So this week it goes to Chrono29. I think they're technically called because it's the 29th time I've mentioned them. Chrono29 and Going Dark. So let's begin with the show with a round of applause for Chrono29 Going Dark. There we go. Well done, Chrono29.
So by going dark, Rick, can you elaborate on what?
Their run on Broadway is completed.
I'll share the email if I can find it. So this was Chrono29 telling us this. How do I share an email on this? I'm going to share a window. It's getting complicated. They always just check that there's no personal detail on this coming from some marketing executive at Chrono29.
So
no, it's just from newsletter at Chrono29.
Down?
Yeah, so dark mode. Chrono29
experience.
I remember this. This was a bad one. This was really
that thing you can toggle on and off in your browser.
Well, it's on the app on the phone. Yeah. It's so that.
But they sent the whole email to let us know as though anybody cares.
Yes. So it's either so that you can sit on the toilet browsing Chrono29 and there not be a bright light shining underneath the door while you do it, or just to fulfill all those watch memes.
Specific, Rick.
or just to show those, you've got an ensuite toilet, you don't want to show, you have to sit there with the light out, or it's just fulfilling all those watch memes where it shows one partner or other, because I'm not going to be gender specific here, scrolling through Chrono29 rather than falling asleep. Or
if I recall from the marketing video, there was a man in an absurdly large public restroom on his phone, and you would need the light mode actually for more light in such a cavernous dark space. Is this to change up the skin so your significant other doesn't know you're browsing and shopping for watches? They got used to seeing Chrono29 in this light skin, predominantly white and gray, blue accent sort of mode. And that was correlated with, they're watch shopping. And now when they see some black screen, they're going to think it's something completely different and not assume.
I'm just realizing I'm special, because I've been sent this as part of the beta version testing. There you go. It's not available to everybody, so everybody. You might not have
back
access
on how this emits light from the toilet.
Yeah, so I need someone to volunteer to take a photograph from outside the toilet while I toggle between dark mode and normal mode. If anyone really wants to volunteer for that, then tap us up, podcast at aBlogtoWatch.com. So yeah, that's our clapometer for this week. It goes to
it's a low clap.
It's a low clap. So if you would like to suggest your who we should do our intro clap to for next week, then send us a note.
Yet oddly, I care more about Chrono29's dark mode than the next celebrity a watch brand momentarily places a watch on in a red carpet, takes a picture, and then blasts that to the media. I somehow care more.
One partially, maybe hypothetically, impacts your life, and the other existed briefly at one moment that didn't impact your life.
I just watched the F1 movie yesterday.
Oh, did you? So what was your thoughts?
I was expecting way more IWC, watch shots than I saw.
What?
There was never a few.
You blind? Was it the Rolex edit? It's the LVMH
director's
edit.
Yeah. It was funny. IWC, Rolex. IWC, Rolex. You know, that was basically the impression. A good movie, though. Yeah, it was decent entertainment.
I haven't seen it yet. I refuse to pay for marketing. I refuse to pay for someone's advert. I already pay for Apple. I'll watch it when it comes out on the streamer. Right.
It's got good sound, though. Good sound in the theater.
Yeah.
Okay.
The way it was filmed is cool. Yeah.
The what?
The way it was filmed and recorded and presented was cool. Yeah.
Because I've recorded with these fancy cameras that apparently we can all now buy our iPhones or something. Right, Ariel, wearing a watch for yourself versus others. My question to get us going on this is, I don't think I wear a watch for other people, but do I really?
Look, I mean, I think it's a very distinct behavior. What I've come to learn through watching people wear watches very carefully is that when you put a wrist watch on, you're fundamentally making a decision. Is this for my eyes or other people's eyes? Sometimes both, but rarely. And I discuss how it changed for me over time and how I noticed it, but it makes a huge difference in terms of what people wear and why, and in different times in people's life. Like, I've been less social. I've been doing parenting and basically like work stuff. I have less reasons to go off and maybe get attention that way. So people are always curious about why they like the watches they like and what they're drawn to. Is it okay to wear this? People are constantly asking these questions. So this is part of that larger conversation of helping to be more cognizant about what you're wearing, but also making people feel okay. Do you not care what other people think? Do you only care what people think? Well, there's a place for you in this hobby.
Is it different for the three of you? Because presumably most of the folk you hang out with know you work in the watch industry, so they will more often ask you than not, what is it you're wearing, as a conversation starter. Whereas for most folk who might be watching, listening to this show, remember you can watch this show on YouTube, or reading a blog to watch, they probably very, very rarely actually get asked anything about what they're wearing. In fact, their dream is for someone to ask them about the obscure reference number, whatever brand it is that they're wearing.
I don't think anybody asks me outside of events. I hear what you're saying, but no, that's not my experience. Nobody cares about what I'm wearing.
So not even your friends that know you run one of the world's largest watch blogs care about the watch you're wearing.
Could totally care less. Not interested. They're as interested now as they were before I started this website.
I care, Ariel. I care.
Everybody cares. I went to the right source.
You're usually wearing something quite interesting, and so that's when I think we're continuously wearing watches, not necessarily for ourselves. It might be for a review. It might be because we're going to an event. And it's not because I want to say anything about myself. It might be because there's a very weird piece in for a review and I want to share that, seeing it with other people. In that case, I'm wearing it for others. I already wore it around. I wrote a review on it, I photographed it, whatever. But I'm wearing it for others because I want them to see it. So I think there's that. There's far seldom am I wearing a watch in, what Ariel's talking about, because I want to present myself in a certain way. But I often find myself wearing watches because wherever I'm going, someone's going to want to see that one. It's an interesting one. Or because I'm looking for another Karl F. Bucherer owner, so we can wonder how
many percent off. Oh, 80. Wow, good job. 82.
No, I just want to know,
family and friends sale.
How did you end up with this? Did you buy this? Did you see a Rolex Submariner and were like, nah, but I want to spend that much, just maybe not a Rolex?
Is there like an anonymous, I paid full retail for a Karl F. Bucherer club where you can go and vent and just share your experience having paid full retail for one of those?
The correct answer to that question, Ripley, is Rolex. What's that?
So how guilty do you feel, Ripley or David, ever wearing a watch just because you want to communicate something to other people rather than just because it's the watch you want to wear? I wear a Panerai, so I'm never trying to communicate anything positive to anybody, frankly.
What do you communicate to yourself? Like, you'd rather be under more water? I wish the water was coming from the ground and less the sky.
I just want it to be warm so I can go swimming.
I wish I was underwater.
It's Scotland. I'll soon be underwater in terms of the rain we get, but there we go. Right, so your thoughts? Come on, confess.
I wish all my watches, cars, everything were invisible to other people, and then that way I could just enjoy and do whatever I want and not have to factor in what other people think.
How about this? I don't do you ever wish that what they were driving or wearing was invisible to you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's a long list of cars I never want to see.
In a world where only I have a watch, no one else has anything. It's just me and my wrist.
Maybe that's it. Maybe the alternative article to this needs written about how to ignore what other people are wearing while they're trying to kind of, flash it in your face.
I did that. I told people to avoid Instagram for the first 5 years of their collecting habit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that. That happened.
Way ahead of you.
Breaking news beats. I prefer not to be asked what I'm wearing, only at watch events, friends, general public when I'm at work. Don't ask me don't ask Breaking New Beats what he's wearing. He's not interested in telling you. I cannot think other than, nobody even at a watch meet would ask me what I'm wearing. I'm wearing a Panerai, and it's clearly obvious from about 30 meters away that's what I'm wearing.
But which one? Which one? Is it with the subsidiary seconds at 9?
If you promise to wear non-Panerai watches, other people will promise to come and ask you about it. Okay, everyone, if you see Rick, and you'll know if it's not a Panerai. That is an obvious one from, as you said, 30 feet or meters away or whatever.
30 meters, the depth rating of the Douai, despite its massive ground protector range.
Maybe that should be the new judgment.
If you're one ruined Douai away from, I don't know, from Rick, and he's not wearing a Panerai, just ask him. Be like, hey, Rick, I noticed you're not wearing a Panerai. What is it? You'll make his day, and, his wrist will see something else.
Exactly. I wonder if that should be a rating you give to watches as to how far away you can identify what they are from across the room. So a Panerai obviously has one of the greatest ratings. You can identify it from 100 meters away. Whereas what's the least 100% identifiable watch as to what it is, at least within the brand line. Okay, so we say Panerai. Whereas a Submariner, until you're a few feet away, it could be just about anything.
I'm seeing a whole show where we try this. We actually go to some event like Watches and Wonders, something
close,
like that.
Or am I really far away?
No, and we actually sit there. We know that something is a distance away, and we're like, Ripley, can you tell what someone's wearing over there? And then that's when we'll know when the true icons are. Because that test that you're mentioning, as much of a joke as it is, a lot of watch brand managers use that as a standard. They're like, you can tell what the Royal Oak is. Could you tell what your thing is? And that's like actually a big deal to them. They measure iconicity, if you will, as a measure of, can you identify something from, like, I think for them it's always across the restaurant. That's why I was here. Across the restaurant, can you see? I don't know what that is. Maybe not 30 meters.
It's not a stadium. It's a restaurant. It's a French measurement of distance.
It would have to be at Watches and Wonders, because if we just did it in a public place, we'll be looking vintage Calatrava from 100 meters away. And then as we get closer, we're going to be disappointed because it'll be a Daniel Wellington. I think Watches and Wonders is a safe place to do it, because it might be like offshore. No, it's a Hublot, but it'll still be something cool and interesting.
We won't be guilty of conspiracy to steal watches, I see.
I think we've all done this. You'll be seeing someone, they might have an interesting strap on, and you're looking at so what kind of watch is attached to it? And they might be in line at the clerk, and then they're paying, and their wrist flips over, and you see it's just something so unremarkable. Like, not like Timex cool, but like Daniel Wellington, and you're like,
I just see a whole scenario where Ripley's chasing after people asking to see their strap on.
Yeah.
It was unfortunate.
I was on fire today. Yeah, on fire today. Right.
Okay.
You can certainly tell that from the other side of the restaurant.
You have a colorful strap on, sir. What's attached to it?
I just want to see your strap on.
No,
okay,
your watch.
Definitely
your watch.
Invited
you want to watch? No.
We're really
so far off the
rails.
So who's going to win? We're sitting at Watches and Wonders.
We're in the audience, obviously.
I wonder, you know how you get the meme where the guy is sitting on like a table in a park and he's like, convince me. Can't remember what the meme is.
Yeah.
You know the one. I wonder if we should take along, and you see some of these YouTubers that maybe it's not a thing in the States, but in the UK, there's a guy that goes around and he tests takeaway food, and he brings his own table and he sits it on the street outside, orders the takeaway, and then reviews it in the street at a wee table with all his cameras. I think we should take a table along to Watches and Wonders. Okay, sit it at somewhere quiet, so beside the Bomb and Mercier stall probably, and then invite people a bit like Squid Game to start off like 50 meters away from us with the wrists in the air, and then the one who can get the closest without us being able to identify their watch is the winner. They just like, we turn our backs and then we spin round and they've all moved a meter closer.
Does this mean I get to finally buy that laser telemeter I've been wanting?
You just wanted a rangefinder. Is that what you mean?
Yes, very much. No reason to use it.
I think we should bring a table because there's never enough tables at the restaurants at Watches and Wonders. So we should definitely bring our own table. But I don't think they would appreciate that many people lined up in a Squid Games manner and Ariel having a laser telemeter pulled out in terms of egress. It's quite busy.
Where did Squid Games come into this?
Well, because they have that game where they
red light, green light.
Yeah, I've only seen one episode, and then I was like, "This is weird."
Oh gosh.
So yeah, red light, green light. So we should come up with our own version of that.
We're just finding a much more obnoxious way of observing the crowd at the show. That's all. That's all we're doing.
Yeah, that's true. It turns out there's quite a few folk in the chat of a Blog to Watch Weekly Live that I think they need some counselling. I think there's a whole load of watch geeks out there that just nobody's asking them what they're wearing.
Laser rangefinders for everyone.
Be a friend today, and if you happen to have stumbled across this on YouTube, ask a watch geek.
Ask a friend.
Ask a watch geek what they're wearing. There should be a hashtag for that. I'm not sure what it should be. Ask a watch geek. Ask a watch friend. Geek.
Well, if it's not something of massive value, and it's something actually interesting on an enthusiast level, and you're more than likely going to have an interesting conversation with that person about watches than if it's just some Rolex of any Rolex. Could be a cool vintage Rolex, but the number of times I've thought someone was into watches and it's like a really righteous looking vintage Pepsi, and it's like, oh, what, my Rolex? Oh no, this was my dad's, and it's like, oh, okay, never mind. Sorry to bother you. So,
but can I share something controversial? I really don't like.
You don't like
talking
watches?
About watches in my free time. I genuinely don't. If somebody asks me what it is, I try and just get out of it. It's not one of my passions, actually, to talk with people foreign to me about watches. I just genuinely.
David doesn't like what he's doing. All of this.
I like watches.
Ariel, have you got photos or something?
What?
You got photos of David. You're forcing him to do this career of talking about watches when he
far
really
from
want
it.
to.
But in my free time, when I go out or go out to an event with other people, like, oh, David, I heard you are into watches. I'm like, yes.
It's not that David doesn't want to talk about watches. He doesn't want to have dumb conversations about watches.
Yes. And if I were a dentist, I wouldn't want to talk about teeth. If I go out to an event, I just don't get it why people get this idea that, oh, you must love talking about exclusively this. Jeez.
Yeah, and nobody asks us interesting questions ever. They're like, what's the best brand? What's the watch to buy to make money? I don't know. If I knew, why would I tell you?
Right, David,
best brand.
We've taken a seat, so come on, unload on us. Tell us.
That's the most typical question.
What else should people never mention to David at a party? Okay, come on.
Yes.
Top 5 things to annoy David for explosive results.
In exclusive news, Ariel has just invented his own top 5, so we've got to explore this.
Oh wow,
Clearly we're opening up some real deep stuff here. David doesn't like watches. Ariel's into lists after all. Ripley, anything you want to confess? It's not a real wall. It's made of polystyrene behind you. What's going on?
Keep it rolling.
Up is down, left is right, cats and dogs, etc. So, David, what would you like to talk about today?
What would I want to talk about? I'm here to talk watches. That's all good. I'm here to talk about 8 hertz frequency. That's what I want to talk about.
David, how good does that sound? How many times have you held it up to your ear since taking delivery of it?
A good number of times.
Tell us what it is.
It's the Chopard Cadence Alpine Eagle 41 SL something, and it was launched just this year. But
orange hand.
Yes. Chopard had it for a number of. Chopard has been producing the 8 hertz watch for more or less over a decade, since 2012. So they've had this movement for quite some time. We know
it works now. That's the point.
Yeah, which is
watch.
Yeah. It's a pretty cool looking watch, but the fact is, I'm not sure if you can see it, but the second hand is just basically
it's the only thing we can see.
Well, that's
true. That's all you need. And it made me think about high frequency, because it's one of those few complications that have not yet become available at a cheap price. You can buy a Tourbillon for like $300 or $400. You can buy, a split second chronograph for like $3,000, $3,500. So it was interesting to look into what complications are available at a relatively affordable price. You can buy ceramic cased watches, ceramic bezel inserts, whatever, for a couple $100, but you cannot buy high frequency at all from anyone for less than, I don't know, whatever this costs, basically.
Do you know that a simple quartz watch operates at about 32,000 hertz?
Yes, but it works with a battery, cheap, so I'm not interested.
Very cheap.
And a spring drive is completely smooth. If you like the velvety motion of the 8 hertz there, imagine the smooth, gentle, silent sweep of a spring drive.
I've had a spring drive. It's the best thing in all of human history, but this is a close second, because you can really hear it. It's really, really something special, this high frequency stuff.
I mean, it's kind
cool.
of, I love pretending like alternate history where the mechanical watch are like, what if quartz is never invented? Then this would be state of the art still. Like, that's kind of how you have to go through this. It's a weird, like, you have to throw that logic aside when you're a watch lover, when like, in the back of your mind, like quartz outperforms it. You're just like, let's just pretend it's not there. Mm-hmm. And then it works.
Which we do.
It sounds amazing.
But we do constantly. Whenever we talk about a perpetual or a chronograph that's accurate to a tenth of a second, we are constantly saying that you're acting as though quartz is not
watches
around.
Would love to have a cool like little graphical logo like the cadence on the front, or that little up and down thing. I mean, come on. I don't know what that is.
They are called the Oceanus.
They sure are.
Yeah, okay, I can see this.
The irony is that the one you're looking at, Rick, this is on with a titanium case and titanium bracelet. Is less expensive than this one on a freaking rubber strap with just a ceramized titanium case. I'm not sure how math works over at Chopard. But
I'm not sure how math works.
Why is this considerably more expensive than whatever you're looking at?
Yes, I'm showing the original. I think this is the original, isn't it?
No, it's also new. Or maybe this is from a couple of years ago. I don't know.
This is from a couple of years ago. This is from 2023, I think.
But you can still buy it. You can still buy it.
It's a great watch. I have actually considered this over the Panerai.
It is pretty awesome. It is really awesome.
Yeah, it is.
But I fear that from 30 years away, folk would not be able to identify that this was a Chopard.
Oh, everyone can
it's not a Panerai. I'm not sure what that is. It's definitely not a Panerai.
Is that a blow with those screws?
It turns out that we have actually created a safe space, breaking new beats in the chat. We do ask each other on here what everybody's wearing. So if you want to safely ask someone what watch they're wearing, with no fear that they're going to go, I don't know, it belonged to my father, then this is the place to come. This is your safe space.
Join us.
aBlogtoWatch Weekly Live on YouTube. Just come here and ask those questions. I have also asked several people, I think that's right. I've asked more people what they're wearing in the hope that there's a good story than have ever asked me what I'm wearing away from watch meets. And there's never been a good story.
Here's how you do that, Rick. You don't ask what they are wearing. You ask them why.
Why
are you wearing that? That's a different thing.
That's even worse.
Be careful of your tone. It can kind of sound accusatory if you're not careful. So
why
that's the point. Why are you wearing that?
Why are you wearing that?
I've only been punished for bringing up people's watches in public.
Punished?
It's never gone.
Really?
Well, like them thinking, like being very defensive,
Weirdo.
acting weird. Like, is he trying to steal something from me, or is he hitting on me, or just anything? But oh wow, he noticed my watch. Anything other than it was any other reason. I was just like, why would someone talk about my my old ass watch. Like, how creepy is that? Like, I basically got that response multiple times.
The only time I've ever got what would be considered even a vaguely good story is asking a guy in a ski lift queue who was wearing a Rolex James Cameron deep sea type thing, which clearly had the pip missing. It had clearly been in some sort of incident about his watch. It turned out he was actually a North Sea oil diver and had lost it diving. That was the only interesting story. I think he was as surprised as I was that anyone had actually asked about his watch. I think it probably made his holiday. But that's the only time I've ever asked anybody randomly away from a watch meetup what they're wearing and got anything like a reasonable reply other than, well, it's just a watch. I got it from No Story here. It's the one I saw in the shop. Anyway. Grand, right. So the Chopard, you're doing a hands-on review of that. When can we expect that to see the light of day, David?
Yeah, it's only a couple thousand more words before I elaborate all my thoughts on high frequency, because it's so freaking cool if you think about it. Chopard makes a couple 10,000 movements every year, and they make maybe 500 of these every year. This is a limited edition of 250. So that means that these are handled completely differently. Probably there are just a few people in every manufacturer that ever does properly high frequency stuff who can actually regulate these things, assemble them, make sure that they are, it's a special thing even within a manufacturer, right? So, and they don't really say this because then that would imply that all the other stuff is not quite so special, but it's true. This is like the ultra rare, super high, actual high-end stuff. You can put all the tourbillons into something, and that's sort of similar, but you're not paying tourbillon money here, and yet you get a very special thing. I'm smitten by it.
Yeah, it is uber cool. How much is that one? You're saying it's more expensive than
probably 20 something.
Okay. Cool.
It's too expensive.
We don't see these very often because obviously it takes a long time to get there. But this is a long-term watch review. Tudor Black Bay 41mm master chronometer. Ariel, you've had this watch a while. Is that how this works?
Yeah, I just wanted to wear it for a long time to see sort of how it fit into my life. It's very similar to the experience I have with the Submariner. And what I mean by that is some days it's like the perfect watch, and other days like it's not bad. I'm just totally bored with it. I'm just like, oh, that old style thing. In that sense, it's a good long-term watch to have. Like, I don't think anyone should buy this for a few months and be like, get rid of it. Like, it's sort of like always going to be a good item to wear. Very accurate, good performance. I'd say that Tudor really excels at being a great tool watch. I think the price of a lot of these watches, especially as others have gone up, remains really great. I love the master chronometer statement. I mean, we talked about how it's kind of an FU to Omega, and it totally is. And like the kind of inter-industry competition Easter egg that you see on the watch like that, I just think is so great. So I do think that the Black Bay is thick. It's interesting because a lot of people like the Black Bay 54, which is a smaller diameter one, but also because it's much thinner. And so I think that's like really one of the big differences between the Rolex watches and the Tudors is not all Tudors, but a lot of them are just comparatively a lot thicker. And I think that the luxury watch industry likes to place a premium on thin. There's some real reasons for it. Maybe some of them are artificial. But I think that's really the only ding. Yes, this one has the aluminum bezel. It's kind of a nice red color here, burgundy red. I didn't have any issues with it. I like ceramic, but it's definitely a slightly different, personality to it. This is just a great kind of, I almost see it as like a fancy Seiko. Like it's not the most exciting watch in the world, but it kind of fits in everywhere. Everyone's like, cool watch. No one like it's very difficult to criticize. No one claims it does everything perfectly, but it's just such a good, sensible choice. So I think as a long-term wearing prospect, it's great. Tudor definitely makes it difficult to choose with a bracelet because they have this sort of Jubilee style one and a 3-link, but it's great that they have the micro adjust in there. So still under $5,000 on a bracelet with, a really great Meta certified movement. I think this is a great timepiece here, but again, this is for tool watch lovers. It's not necessarily for the, call it the fashionista crew.
David, if you were to do a long-term review of a watch right now, which would be in this category of sensible, safe, that you could put up with long-term. 8 hertz, not a Chopard. 16 hertz Chopard. What else is in this category?
What's the budget? Like $4,000, $5,000?
Yeah, $5,000 best. I don't want. I'm afraid to do the best watch under $5,000, but let's do that. No. Best watch under $5,000.
No. Just a review. Well, to review, I would go for that Oceanus and see if I could crack that glass bezel anytime soon, because I would genuinely want to wear that for an extensive period of time and see if it's actually fragile or something like that. I'm kind of hard on my watches in the sense that like I beat them around, they are all scratched up and all the rest of it. So. If it could take that sort of beating, then I would be like, oh, that's great. So yeah, I would try and see, how far we could push that. Yeah, that's the one I would go for. $3,500.
We should all wear an Oceanus for a year. Different one, different bezel, but we should all wear one, and that would be a nice long-term review.
If they want to send us them, I'm in. This. We
know they have them in stock.
Boy, do they selling them quickly.
We love them. We want everyone to share our passion for the Oceanus.
I'd be torn in two polar opposite directions. I've never owned a spring drive for an extended period of time, and I'd be interested that, so many of Grand Seiko's spring drive watches there's so few bad things you could say about them, but like Ariel mentioned about the Black Bay, they're not necessarily super exciting. Yeah, the dial might be nice and you can choose kind of one with some pizzazz, but the novelty might wear off. But I'd be interested to see how well I'd sit with one of those, a fairly versatile dial version, and just, not a crazy model or anything, and just sort of see how that was. And then the other one would be a simple Panerai, like a simple time-only Panerai.
And pass that. If I can, through the magic of the internet, I can just pass it from the side of the screen.
Now, like $20,000
doesn't work.
Well, like I'm not sure what the least expensive Löbner currently is, but that one,
it's about $5,000 or $6,000.
Yeah, so more expensive, but still within the same family. I've always thought it'd be an interesting watch to wear for just a while and commit to it and just be Panerai guy. See how long it would take before I slayed the animal kingdom in search of strap materials.
It leads me to an interesting category of the watch that's on the list, but just never quite gets the top. Because I think that's how I feel about Grand Seiko. It's always on the list. It's always, I would get a Grand Seiko, but there's always just something.
I thought that was Zenith.
Maybe it is Zenith. Yes, Zenith. What's your watch brand or watch that's just never quite makes it to the top of the list, but it's always there?
I think it is Zenith. I mean, the number of times I've very strongly considered buying an El Primero, but haven't done so. Same goes for Panerai, but like the Panerai is something where I feel like that's going to happen. I honestly don't know if I'm ever.
Bell and Ross. I want to say, in keeping with the Oceanus jokes, that it's the ultimate number 2 watch we're talking about. But yeah, so what is the ultimate number 2 watch? Bell and Ross.
They're pretty, they're well made, they're extremely affordable compared to other things right now, and still no one's talking about it. We're going to try to change that, but that's a sleeper right now.
But we're only going to do it when Bell and Ross pays to do it. Is that not how it works?
I mean, look, you want an amazing used watch for like $2,000 or $3,000? You have like 20 years of Bell and Ross.
The GMT watches, the Bell & Ross Square GMT watches are amongst the most comfortable watches to wear, and they're just always fun. And genuinely, someone will ask you, what is that you're wearing? They might not like it, but they will ask you about it.
I don't want it anymore. I don't want one anymore.
David doesn't want a Bell and Ross.
That would attract the sort of question like, I never knew watches came in square.
Squares.
Let's begin a conversation. Square watch is great.
David, what's your ultimate number 2?
That's a really good question. Probably my white G-Shock GWX 5600 something for a whole $99. It's perfect. It's great. Solar, multi-band. Looks cool with basically anything and everything. Takes a beating. Good watch.
In 1862, Franz Ludwig Löbner began his career making precision timekeepers in what would become Germany. Settling in Berlin, he received an official clockmaker's mandate from the king and quickly gravitated towards the then pioneering technology of creating precise instruments to measure short durations of time. In 1881, Löbner was already an exclusive mark thanks to their ability to mass-produce chronographs able to measure 1/100th of a second. Just a few years later, they developed a clock able to measure 1/1000th of a second for sports and scientific purposes. Löbner continued to be a recognized German leader in precise and reliable high-accuracy timekeeping into the 20th century. They were among the first to use highly precise electric switches to trigger their mechanical measuring devices in order to overcome the limitations of human response time. Löbner has now been revived for a modern era. The company continues its long legacy of creating precise and beautiful timing equipment for today's demanding users. The Löbner Steel Racer features a novel chronograph-focused dial with an eccentric reading of the time and a sliding crown guard system. The time-only Löbner Sledge model features a smaller 100-meter water-resistant case and a new inner rotating timing bezel system. Learn more about the history of precision timekeeping instruments and the new Löbner wristwatch collection at lbnr.com.
Good stuff. Welcome to the show, Philippe, a long-time listener, first-time chatter. Thanks for tuning in. You can tune in to aBlogtoWatch Weekly live at around about 7:30 on 7:30 UK time on a Tuesday morning if you want to join in with the show. Any further thoughts on this long time? Do you have to send it back now? Like, you've had it since it was launched? This watch was launched like 3 years ago, was it not? How old's this watch?
Which one?
No, this is an updated version because
this is the updated version. Ariel's on mute, so
no, I'll be sending it back. It's a watch that I could again easily live with for a long time and always pick up. But I don't know that I'm gonna wake up at night and be like, Black Bay, where are you, Black Bay? It's just it's like the Submariner. You know, it's always gonna be there. There's so many of these that I feel like, if I needed it, I could go pick this thing up. That's so sort of comfortable about it. But I think for a lot of people just getting into watches, Tudor, again, similar to Seiko in a funny way, it's like a safe thing. Like, you don't have to worry about getting it because even if you get bored of it, like 5 years from now, you'll rediscover it, be like, oh, you're relevant all over again.
Yeah.
Well, if you'd like to suggest in the chat your ultimate number 2, then go ahead and we'll give it a mention.
That can mean so many things, Rick.
Exactly. Right, let's play the as yet unsponsored Hit Miss Maybe. You're welcome to sponsor us, but just remember our opinions are not actually for sale, so your sponsorship may be completely worthless. But you're welcome to give it a go. Let's see. First up.
They can sponsor our signs. I've never printed out new ones, and these are getting so beat.
Yeah, let's get sponsorships for our signs. Maybe we should... Maybe there needs to be unofficial.
The Taco Bell maybe.
Just the Hit Miss Maybes on the giant Hublot H's.
Yes. Yeah. Do you remember the Hublot things from the World Cup where the referees were holding those things up? That's what we need.
Okay, so you've got to use your imagination.
They only need them once every 4 years. Send it to us
Send it to us, and then in between time, come on, you must know somebody. David, you're quite close to Hublot, allegedly. So they say
geographically.
Geographically, you must know. You must be able to. We must be able to get. I mean, the football season's not happening at the moment. There must be some local football clubs with those signs that we can borrow.
I'm sure they have spares.
See if you can tap up somebody at Hublot and see if they can send us.
That would be hilarious.
4 refereeing signs. I think, somebody send that email. That's it. So for next week, in light of not getting the Hublot signs, you've got to put on your Hit Miss Maybe signs a sponsorship from somebody, anybody you like, worldwide.
What about those little, like, auction paddles, you know?
Yeah, so Sotheby's, next week's Hit Miss Maybe will be brought to you by an auction house. So put on your Hit Miss Maybe sign for next week, your favourite auction house. Nothing controversial there. No sponsorship implied. It's just an image we got off the internet and decided to put on our signs. So next week, auction houses.
Oh boy.
There you go. So you can get into the most trouble. Right, first watch up this week, something Ripley you have looked at. Nice and simple, IWC Portugieser Tourbillon retrograde chronograph with a watch with an obsidian coloured dial. Does that mean it's
not obsidian?
I was going to say, does that mean it's not obsidian?
Because they just said black? I mean...
Yeah, you're asking a lot of them right now. So this isn't necessarily a new watch. They've done other iterations of this. This is
what is new here?
It's armor gold with a obsidian colored dial.
Does that mean it withstands bullets? What does that mean?
Yes. So I mean, everyone's got their own proprietary golds. It seems Armor Gold's IWC's version at 18K.
Gold.
Red gold, which is supposed to have a superior structure that makes it harder and more scratch wear resistant.
Is that like Gold Tech, Panerai?
No, I think Gold Tech is just a sexy name for
it's 1% different
gold.
to that.
Yeah.
Do you think within
possibly less than one
Richemont group it is actually all the same gold?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. You think it's all the same?
It's probably tiny little bit different. Maybe they add some seasoning or something like that. But that's
a little bit of some salt and pepper.
Yeah, well, I mean, you have to figure they only have 25% total to play with because it's all 18 karat. So within that 25%, there's certain things that need to be added to make it simply red and rosy versus a lighter, paler shade. So that truncates it further to a lot of copper. And then you're really left with just a very, very small amount that you can mix into the metal that can augment its physical properties thereafter. So maybe it's a little different, but we're talking about the very, very small portion. But it's armor gold with an obsidian colored dial. So the dial itself is just lots of black lacquer and sunburst.
It's just been asked in the chat whether police auctions count for our signs next week. I think that's exactly where we should go. Presumably, I mean, in the UK, there's a police auction that auctions off all these dodgy Rolexes. There must be the equivalent in the States and in Hungary. So, why
don't we go to
police
those?
auction?
I really want to go to some of those.
I'll go to one of those with you, Ariel. Like
Cruise.
LAPD's seized property auction. Let's go see what wild stuff can possibly pop up there.
They make it so it's like kind of hard to go to. Like it'll be like some random morning in the middle of the week and you have to pay in cash. They don't make it easy.
I think that would be a great article for the website. I think
Ripley, you find the time of this place. We'll take someone else's money.
Rick, send us
all your barrels of cash.
No, I'm going to bring a very inconvenient denomination, maybe a bunch of coins or something. I mean, you said cash, it's government tender.
Is the most appropriate.
Here's 8 oil barrels full of pennies and give me my watches now.
Here's some sanctioned oil.
That would be interesting though. Who can find the better? What about a fixed budget? Who can get the best watch at the?
Okay, right. So for your Hitmas maybe signs next week, I want the auction site and the best bang for buck as the opening salvo for Hitmas maybe. We might just do Hitmas maybe on your police watch auction finds or those watch auction sites that look as slightly suspect, like Christie's or Sotheby's. The Sharp Practice websites. But yes, find your website here. So that's your job for next week, is to find the best bang for buck on a police auction website. And anyone in the chat that wants to suggest anything, email aBlogtoWatch. Email podcast at aBlogtoWatch.com. That would work. Cool. Right, back to this IWC. Anything more to say about it, Ripley, before we give a vote?
No,
Price.
I mean, it's very expensive. So there is a retrograde date. There is a flying tourbillon. There is a flyback chronograph, I believe. No, regular chronograph with the hour and minute hand stuck up there. But it is very, very expensive. When you look at other models that IWC has done recently in this armor gold and obsidian colored colorway, this is more expensive than the spherical moon phase tourbillon and like the regular perpetual calendar one combined. This is a 6-figure watch. I think it's a 10-piece limited edition as well, but scroll down. This is shockingly expensive. But it is, I mean, it's going to be very, very nice, but it is extremely expensive when you compare it to other things that could very well be mistaken for it when viewed from across the room.
$145,000.
Jeez.
All they're trying to do is pay off what they put into F1. I mean, it's very clear.
In one go.
Yeah, in one go, 100p. All right, let's do it, guys. You know.
So hold on a second. What in this is $145,000? This is just a retrograde.
It's the Tourbillon.
Okay. It's Tourbillon.
No, but Tourbillons are less expensive from probably the armor.
Well, they've got
also,
other ones.
Think about all the money they
this
saved not using actual obsidian.
It's tourbillon colored.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
Tourbillon tech.
Well, fun thing about the tourbillon and the color of the tourbillon on this one versus the original armor gold model from when this concept debuted is that the tourbillon carriage is now gold colored as well, rather than being rhodium plated on the original. Amazing. So it's very, very cohesive.
Well, I just get me. I'll have all 100. Right. Hit, miss, or maybe. 1, 2, 3, go. Miss, maybe. Ariel, why is it make a maybe?
I mean, miss is pretty strong. Any one of us would wear this if it was handed to us. They're like giant gold watch with a bunch of complications that don't make sense. Really?
I wouldn't
wear this around for a little bit.
No,
you can wear it nice snug on the strap. I mean, look, it's not bad. It's got a classic look to it. It works really well on paper. Like, oh, it's got that function and that one and that thing. Like, that's great. You're right. It's not the prettiest one, right? It's like the supercar that like failed in the looks department. It has all the specs. It's just not as elegant as the other ones, right? But it still makes a bold statement in the room.
Okay, David.
Also, not $500,000.
Yeah, well, isn't it a bargain all of a sudden?
It sure is.
$145,000. You could actually buy the supercar instead. Even if the supercar was ugly, it would then be a supercar. It'd just be an ugly one. This is just
what could you even get? You could get like the most expensive. I don't know. Maserati they have on the lot?
Well, at the police auction, apparently there's deals to be had. You might walk away with something
right. I think we're just going to have next week's just going to be all about
That's the watch to wear to the police
auctions.
auction, okay? It says I have money, but the police aren't like, are you a criminal? We're not sure. You're so tasteful, sir.
You're ringing IWC. You clearly didn't steal it.
It is a classy watch. You're not immediately a convict if you wear it, which is good. But
unless you actually stole it from the boutique in an armed robbery, you didn't actually steal it from any other human being in the house.
It's like the watch the guy
else
in the Guy Ritchie movie would wear, right?
$145,000 on it. Yeah. Okay.
It's just the dial layout with this illegible retrograde date that nobody asks for. You have no idea what date it is unless it's if the 4th or the 7th or something like that. It's impossible to read, and it's also typical. It's like, you know, if for $150,000, it should be like a bespoke thing. To me, it looks like a regular movement with the tourbillon engineered into it, which is great. It's just somehow the price and the dial layout. There's so much nicer IWC watches out there. I hope they sell all of these and sponsor more F1 movies or do whatever with the funds. But it's just never. It's basically the last IWC I would have today.
So when I see a chronograph tourbillon, I always think about Jean-Claude Biver, because for years and years he would wear the same watch when he was at Hublot. It was a very particular version just made for him, all black, of their chronograph tourbillon. And the chronograph was always running. He's like, I always have the chronograph running. No, I'm not timing anything. You just like seeing the moving hands. And for me, that's all I think about is people that buy this, they're not using any of it. They're just like, ooh, lots of movement. Wow, that's a lot of hands in one watch. I enjoy seeing them all move at the same time. Like, it's just a toy. But I've never met anyone in a practical scenario who ever had an intellectually astute reason for wanting a tourbillon and a chronograph in the same watch. I can't understand it. It's just about swirly, moving, fun things. That's really
has anyone ever had, just let's dial that back from chronograph. Let's just keep that to the tourbillon. Has anyone ever come with a logical explanation for why they need a tourbillon in a wristwatch?
It looks pretty.
You're about to break the entire industry, Ripley. Don't ask these questions.
That's half the internet already. People talking about date windows and tourbillons. But it's cool looking. But for a third of the price, you can get the daddy of watches, which is the Portugieser Perpetual 44, which they just updated a year ago or something like that. And that is a gorgeous looking, fantastic watch with the obsidian black dial in armor gold. That actually is one of my favorite watches. So that's a third of the price. Looks more complicated. Actually looks more expensive. I actually reviewed that particular version with a black dial and in this red gold version, and that. But
it's harder to pay for the F1 sponsorship with those watches.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Yeah,
that's true. That's a shame.
Breaking new beats asks, who gets the better discount? This IWC in 2 years when it's still in the display case, or a new Carl Bucherer?
Dead brands are always cheaper. We know that.
Yeah.
And which one are we saying is a dead brand? CFP or IWC?
Well, the one officially not in business right now. That would be the dead one.
The ones that are already liquidated.
Mode? I don't know.
Yeah, the ones that were already liquidated. Yeah,
service center only mode.
Ripley, how'd you vote?
I said it's a maybe. Like Ariel said, miss is strong. I would happily own this watch and feel, let the chronograph run and watch all the things move. But also, it's a maybe because unless you're just playing with absurd amounts of money and you just really love a tourbillon, this is really, really expensive. If you like the black and armor gold thing, go get the perpetual calendar, like David mentioned. It's a third of the price. And then if you really just still want to spend the same amount of money, you can go and get the lovely day and night one with the spherical moons phase and still come in below budget for this one. So it's shockingly expensive for what it is. You're really paying a premium for this combination of complications plus the tourbillon. But it is objectively a good looking watch. I kind of like the updates they've done to keep it a very kind of black and rose gold sort of look. Looks quite nice, so it's a maybe.
Okay. Right, before we move on, we missed our round robin as to where everybody is and what they're wearing. Ariel, I think we can guess where you are, but what you're wearing on the wrist?
Edox Hydro Sub. Yet another vintage style dive watch. I quite like this one. It's got its own little flavor on there, not particularly expensive. Only weird dial colors. That's what I like. No, none of the standard dial colors you think. This is kind of like a gray and orange. It's nice, but again, slightly non-standard stuff. And that review will hit the website after a long-term review. I don't know, at some point.
Cool. David, show us again what you're wearing.
It's
Don't
on my
ask
desk.
Or on the desk.
So many hertz.
It's all you need. Yes.
All the hertz. It hurts the hertz. Good stuff. Ripley.
Well, Norqain is on my head. I'm wearing the split color GMT bezel shirt from aBlogtoWatch. And then on my wrist is quite possibly the cheapest luxury watch you'll be able to find these days, a Carl Bucherer. I still have not found another person wearing one, encountered them in the wild, so we will continue to wait. And while I may have 4 less hertz than David, I probably have an extra 55 millimeters. I think this is 44, but it is incredibly large.
Thickness.
Oh, yeah. Proper cheeseburger sandwich type of piece.
This is less than 10. That's so cool.
I bet my watch weighs like 10 times as much as David's.
That's probably true.
Come on, there's only one champ here, to be honest, in the kind of thickness and weight department, and we all know it.
The burger.
The Bucherer has a run for your money for you. Trust me.
You think? Does it?
Oh yeah.
The bracelet. Look at how large the clasp is. It's the entirety of the underside of my wrist. It's enormous.
Oh my god. The Carl burger.
The Carl burger. Good stuff.
It doesn't have a micro adjust. It has a macro adjust.
Excellent. Right. Well,
it does have a macro. No, it does have a micro and macro. So
I know I'm not making that up.
No, yeah, Ariel's not making this up. On one side of this butterfly style clasp, there is a standard, incremental micro adjust. proper micro. And then on the other side, what you get is a macro adjust full on wetsuit extension. So you can go ahead and like put this over your ankle monitor or whatever. It really expands out. You get a micro and a macro.
You had to remove all the links. It's just basically a watch head and the clasp.
I did remove all the links.
Oh, they're still being sold. That's good. I love how it doesn't hurt them to stop selling it. That's the funny thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if I emailed Khalif Bucherer today and told them I want to buy one of your watches, would they have the bare cheek to sell it to me at full retail, or would somebody reply, hey, here's what's going on. We can give you half the discount. You don't have to pay full retail.
I don't know.
Or
what does the
accept?
Rolex Way say?
Oh, wait. Just wait.
Bucherer. Is there still a website?
Oh, yeah.
Official website of Khalif Bucherer. It's still... No, that's Carl
We are currently
Bucherer,
in legacy
not Khalif
mode.
Bucherer.
Legacy
That's
mode.
somebody entirely
Everything
different.
is a tribute now. That's sad.
I think one of the biggest problems with Khalif Bucherer is I can't spell Khalif Bucherer. Khalif Bucherer, right?
Do you have a problem with the Carl part or the F?
Yeah, the F
That's
is
a
the most
tough F.
difficult. Right, okay. So you go onto the website, all looks like it still exists. I'm not seeing any. There's no sign that says, actually, you know what? We don't make these anymore.
Where are the
collection.
mantas? I want to see the mantas. Let's see if they still speak
The
about the
mantas,
manta trust.
is that
The
these?
dinero.
Oh, no, nothing's clicking. Discover more. Let's see. Exploring time. Monero. What are you looking for, Ripley?
I feel
The
bad for
manta
this one,
rays.
Brand.
I want to see if they still talk about the manta rays on this side.
Where would I find them?
Oh God, I don't
Who
know
will look
something
after the
about
manta
it.
now?
Yeah.
Oh, the
Manta,
Oceanus,
manta.
actually. Those were manta
No,
editions
another
from the
brand
Oceanus.
took up the Manta Trust thing.
I mean,
Wait, do you recall
Khalif
which brand it
Bucherer,
was? Like, we
Monero,
did talk
Flyback,
about this, but
Find
Yeah.
a store.
so is that the watch from Atomic Blonde?
This
That
is a
one?
great watch.
I think it's like a
fantastic
Monero
watch.
chronograph or something like that. The watch that's in Atomic Blonde.
There was
but
a few, weren't there? A few in that
the
movie.
one where that's like has the codes in it or whatever.
Was there
Well,
one that's
the-
used to like smash someone's face?
Quite
There's-
possible. I need to watch this the next time I'm on a
That
flight.
sounds very Atomic Blondie.
There is certainly no sign that Khalif Bucherer is no longer selling watches.
But is there any
yeah.
signs of where they're actually sold?
Let's see. Watches.
I mean, this looks so generic. It looks
Chrono
like one of those
24
like
dark mode probably has them.
Dark mode. The whole organization has
like
gone
click
into
on
dark
any of the
mode.
watches and see if
I'm
there's
just
like a
trying to
store
find-
finder.
Right.
Just
Okay.
click on
Store
one of the models.
finder. Khalif Bucherer.
Can you buy
The
them from the
Monero.
site?
No, there is a find a store. Country. Where should we go? Switzerland. Well, Oh, interestingly, it only lists. Is that the only places that had Khalif Bucherer stores? Like 7
No.
countries?
No, they were big in
Right.
Asia.
United
There are
Kingdom,
other countries in the world.
London. Let's see if it tells you anywhere.
Ooh, you can still get
There's
them
apparently
at Covent Garden.
Yeah, at Bucherer stores.
At Bucherer's own, at the
Doesn't cost
Rolex.
them anything. All they have to do is nothing.
Yeah,
Leave the watches where they are.
So is that literally where the only stores that are now listed? I wonder, is it possible that these are the only countries that have Bucherer stores in them? Yeah, that's Bucherer. So clearly this is not a list. This is
Where
a list
else
of
do you think
Bucherer
you're going to
stores.
find Bucherer? The brand that was designed to be sold at Bucherer stores.
Yeah. Do they never sell them anywhere else? No?
Not
Anyway,
successfully.
Well, yeah, I didn't sell them successfully in their own stores either. Right, Borisic is making the very valid, probably the most valid point of this show that even I forgot to ask what everyone was wearing on this week's show, which just shows how unlikely it is that you, watch wearer, are ever going to get asked. But, it's actually a segment of the show, and I still forgot to ask you what you were all wearing. So there you go. That just shows how likely it is that anybody
So
cares.
are you going to start
what you're
wearing
wearing.
non-Panerais, or is it just going to be
I
a
don't
thing?
really
where you
have any.
to wear one?
Right,
Do you have
I've got
anything
this
else,
watch.
Rick? Like a
I
G-Shock?
do. So what have we got? I mean, I've got a moon swatch.
What color?
I've got the Mission to Mars somewhere.
We can get you a Spinnaker for every day of the week.
How do you feel
If you
about
would like to
SpongeBob?
SpongeBob. I don't really know much about SpongeBob. It's not.
Would
really,
you like to learn?
Would you like to learn? Would you like? That sounds really threatening. Would you like to clap the puppy? Would you like to learn about SpongeBob? Would you like to learn? If you want to send me your SpongeBob watches, then you feel free. I will gladly wear them down.
I'll sit you down and you can watch every episode.
Every episode. I'm thankfully past all of that, having to watch kids' TV shows.
No, it's for adults too.
Is it an adult show? Is it really? Is it one of those kind of cartoons? So yeah, I don't really have that much else. There's a Bremen kicking about somewhere. You need more
color on your wrist. Okay, let's
start
with somewhere. The classic orange.
I remember I'm in the process of building a house. Everything's in boxes. This is the caravan life for the last 2.5 years. So yeah.
A ceramic watch. Got it.
There are some watches around somewhere. Right. So let's actually go somewhere else. We were going to go to...
Rick, you could get along with the U-boat. I think a U-boat on you might be
the Chimera. The really weird ones.
With or without a bubble.
I mean, or maybe a gram. You like weird crown things. What about those ones where it looks like an absolute fever dream of a crown protector? You could get along with a gram.
You remember the multicolor swordfish?
Is this a watch?
Well, yes, a gram.
Oh, no, I have not seen this one.
Oh, it's iridescent case, but it's the swordfish that has like the two big eye. Anyways, it's weird. I thought of Rick when I thought of it. It's in the same vein as that Oceanus colors that David likes.
You'll be able to tell it from the same distance as your Panerai. I think we might need.
I think that should be my criteria.
So only old Graham and U-boat. That's
only
from the last U-boats. 20 years. You have a lot of options, big sizes.
Okay. Right.
But if you just stick within those parameters, I think you can have a very versatile collection.
I think that the watch I would be tempted to buy as the equivalent to Panerai in terms of identification from a long way away was always a Breitling, emergency. I'd like a Breitling emergency.
I thought you were going to say like Anonimo.
No, or Anonymous. A Breitling immersive with the other watch style on it. I think that's where I need to go. So if Breitling would like to re-release or do an updated one of them, I'd maybe be tempted.
You want an emergency? I think they still make those.
Yeah, do they? Do they? I'm not sure if they do.
We'll get in the emergency 2 with the mother of pearl dial. The one that, one of the least sensical watches in modern history.
They make a solid white, or they used to make a solid white gold one that was fully set with diamonds, like the bracelet 2.
Somehow more practical than the mother of pearl dial one.
Yeah, I can wear it when I want a big watch. David can wear it when he wants the bling.
Yep.
Oh shit!
I'm all for bling.
That far away. I could stick it on a flight from Edinburgh.
I could see you in a Breitling. There's a lot of Breitling and Panerai energy that's shared. I could see you in.
Oh yeah.
See, the problem is I bought my daughter a Breitling, and so she's now the Breitling person in the household.
You can only have one. They'll fight apart one another.
That's very Scottish of you.
It's how it works over here. There can be only one. So you gotta choose your brand.
So wait, the one that you were making fun of is the one that you got?
The one I'm making fun of.
Wasn't that? Did you make fun of that Breitling?
Oh, possibly, yes. But
then you ended up buying it.
Yeah, we went out shopping for what we thought was going to be most likely like an Omega 38mm Aquaterra type thing, and ended up coming back with a 44mm Breitling Navitimer. So there we go. Who says girls can't wear large watches? But there we have it. Anyway, right, we're getting lost in the weeds here as usual. Norqain, seeing as you're wearing the hat, the Norqain Independent Skeleton 40mm watch. The brand continues to plug away at skeleton watches and trying to make them saleable items. At Ripley, has this one succeeded? Is this renders? This looks like renders.
I can only assume these are renders.
Yeah, these are all renders.
These have existed in 42mm. Now we have 40mm. Norqain's been kind of filling out their collections with some of their more popular models with additional sizes. We've seen it with the Wild One. They've made smaller versions of it. Apparently, the skeleton versions of this model have been quite popular. And so they have now made this duo of smaller 40mm ones. Same movement and everything. So it's basically a chronometer certified skeletonized Sellita Same movement essentially that you'll find inside the larger versions. Again, it's smaller in every dimension except the thickness, I believe. The thickness is actually a tiny bit thicker. And one interesting thing to note, probably the most notable change other than just the size on these, is that rather than just having a open aperture in the dial, so there's just like the bare main plane of the movement there and having the hour markers and the chapter ring extending from it, they've added a transparent surface to serve as the base layer of the dial in between. Now, what's the big deal about putting a clear layer in front of something that was otherwise open worked? This allows them to relocate the text to that clear surface, so it's no longer printed on the crystal, which I know a lot of people absolutely hate. So this is more in the Hublot fashion, where it's a transparent dial despite all of the open working, and the text is printed on that.
Okay, look, $5,000 roughly for this watch.
Yeah, it is quite expensive.
Is it the miss, or is it the maybe 1, 2, 3 go? Miss, maybe 3 maybes and a miss. Ariel, why is it a maybe?
I'm glad that Ripley brought up the whole where the text was printed, because I've seen a return to that printing on the crystal in a lot of watches. Some of them skeletonized, some of them not. It can be done well. It's kind of weird to see it. So I'll have to see this one to say, how I feel. I've worn this watch. The cases, I like the cases a lot. It's a good size, even though the larger one doesn't bother me. And I asked Norqain, I was like, why do you keep doing skeletonized watches? And they kind of sell. They said for now they're selling. I'm not sure they quite understand it. I have very little interest in them. I mean, this watch looks independent of hands, right? That's the issue for me. So I like that they're trying to emphasize, it's mechanical, it's cool. So I think that there's what we're seeing is that Norqain's actually doing well with sort of like novice watch lovers, who for them, this is very exciting and they don't have watches like this. But I think eventually they're like, oh, wait a minute, I can actually also read the time. I think that people kind of go full circle. I feel that being interested in full open work or semi-open work, you remember the open heart watches, or when Zenith for a while had that open heart thing. And I never see anyone who is a long-term enthusiast like those. It's kind of always for novices. So maybe that means that Norqain is selling to a lot of new watch buyers, which is great. But again, statistically speaking, they're not going to keep buying watches like this.
Does anyone ever buy a second skeleton dialed watch? I don't know.
That's a really good question.
I mean, there's plenty of Richard Mille collectors and plenty of Hublot collectors.
Yeah, maybe at the real
but that's
top
different.
end.
Like the whole point of this is to have like a miniature mechanical architecture. Like this is just skeletonized. Like after a couple of days, it's not as exciting to see the parts. You're kind of like, okay, I get it. That's where that goes. That's neat. I feel like the novelty tends to wear off, and then you just get annoyed that it's hard to read the time.
Okay. David?
Yeah, I gave it a maybe. I think these are pretty cool looking watches. There's certainly some effort in them. I'm not a fan, but that's probably because I've been at this for quite some time. And as Ariel says, it's more for the novice, but there's nothing wrong with that at all. I think, if you're just getting into watches, or if you've been into watches for a couple of years, you will want to have a skeleton watch at some point, just to admire how it works, how it's put together. And why not offer that experience? Is something that is sporty looking, cool, rugged looking, adventure ready, whatever you want to call it. And this is sort of like that. So I think it's a very intelligently picked niche in the world of watches, and there's no surprise if it's doing well. The price is a little bit high, but then again, you get a little bit more for your money in terms of craftsmanship and stuff. I wish these were a couple grand less expensive, but then again, there's quite a bit of work that goes into them. So everyone can decide whether they want to shell out this much for this.
Ripley?
Yeah, I mean, for the person who just wants this aesthetic, there's lots of watches on the low end side of the spectrum that can check the box. God knows there's enough skeletonized watches with standard off the shelf movements. As David mentioned, this is executed to a higher standard. There's a bit more here. Just even the case finishing alone, it's not just brushed and polished. There's little recessed sections or sandblasted. You get the little plate on the side you can engrave. It's a maybe for me. I kind of prefer the skeletonized Norqains when it's the wild one, where it's sort of like their version of the Richard Mille thing, where it's like this modern, colorful sports watch with that showcases that it's mechanical. This is very much like a nice version of like a sort of skeleton mall watch. And I don't, that sounds pejorative and like it, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. This is for those who want a skeletonized watch that's sporty. This is a very palatable timepiece and a very versatile style. And as Ariel mentioned, they wouldn't keep doing if they weren't a success commercially. So they're clearly selling them. This brings it to a much wider range of buyers, being at that 40 mil mark. So it's a maybe. I don't think this is a bad or offensive. I like that they've repositioned the text. So all things I like that it's smaller. So all things compared to the previous version, I think this is a positive direction. It's not the watch for me, certainly not at the price point. But for someone who's looking for a skeletonized watch, that's a cut above sort of that standard fare $1,000 offering, this is going to be quite nice and, deliver and make you happy.
Yeah, it's a mess. They need to stop it. Stop it now. It's a fad. It's going to pass. You need to get ahead of the curve before everybody suddenly wakes up to the fact that they don't want another one of these. So you're going to sell to everybody once, and that's it. There needs to be something. I just don't get it. I think, yeah. No, not for me. It's a mess. Okay, Breaking New Beats makes a point in the chat that if Chrono29 dark mode does not enable a black market side to watch sales, he wants nothing to do with it. So
here, sir.
That's an interesting angle. You can go to dark mode to trade the watches with the auction houses for all that fancy cryptocurrency, cyber currency, whatever it is. Right, you've seen the one side of the skeletonized watches. Let's see for our final hit miss, maybe already been mentioned, by the other side of the skeletonized watches. This is the Richard Mille RM 3001 Le Mans Classic watch. David, you had a look at this.
What year is it? This is basically 2005. Looking at you. How can they get away with this? Honestly, I don't get it.
David, come on, David. You put a lot of effort into this article. It's a very enjoyable article. You should go and check it out.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Look at the long list. Look at the Richard Mille recipe here. I mean, they know that they're just sailing from now on. Basically, it's just they just make 6,000 watches, sell them all. That's great. I'm happy for Richard Mille. I like the brand. I like the design actually overall of this case, of the strap. It's great to wear, lovely to wear. It's a fantastic piece of engineering turned up to 11, of course. But at the same time, it's also sometimes almost cynical. This is almost cynical in the sense that, if you look at that list of things, I put this 6-strong list of details, technical specifications that they burden their customers with so as to justify the price. Scroll down a little bit. It's going to be there.
I'm going to find
the screws, right?
There it is. No. Look at this. If you visit the product page, it says patented declutchable variable geometry rotor. It has a shock protection from Incop that's 908.22.211.100. Brackets transparent. It's like, who gives a hoot where shock protection? You have shock protection in a basic ETA, probably from Incoblock. So it's just balance moment of inertia 4.8. I don't even know what the measurement of that is. It's like but none of their customers do, and yet all of the balance wheels in all the watches have moment of inertia. So either you explain whether this is a lot or not that much. I like how Ripley. We just lost Ripley.
Instantaneous. Oversized date display.
I added
everybody knows that Richard Mille owners have got a semi-instantaneous oversized date display.
So
I have to comment here, but go ahead. Go.
I was going to ask, so in the shock protection, if we're going to get really into the weeds, it says transparent. Does that mean that the jewel in the shock protector housing is transparent rather than, say, pinkish red?
Probably. It's probably a no cost option from the supplier. But
okay.
Yes.
If you just come out of the blue and you see a Richard Mille press release, you're going to be insanely confused as to why it's written the way it is, why they're making a big deal of what they're doing. Here's
why
what
it's
I've
3
seen.
terabytes.
This all began in the past with Patek Philippe. I don't know if they do it anymore, but Patek Philippe used to have the most ludicrous, over-the-top press releases. They were pages long, like paper clipped together with like supplemental materials and stuff like that. Like it was just so much to do over nothing. And the whole point was to make you seem very impressed. Richard Mille kind of has the same thing. They're trying to overwhelm you with superfluous technical data that you don't need to know or that isn't actually impressive in the attempt to try to make this seem out to be like a much more technical thing. Like, oh, there's people out there that need this specification. This sounds like a serious product. Almost as like they were trying to market an F1 car. It's a marketing technique. No, nobody needs to know this information. And again, much of it is not remarkable for this watch, meaning there's other watches that do it, or it's not that big of a deal. But this is trying to get people who don't know better to be more excited than maybe they should be about this product. Exactly. Not that the watches aren't cool, but that's the strategy.
Yeah, they should put superfluous chronometer on it rather than superlative chronometer. Superfluous chronometer, we don't need this. Okay, right, let's give it a vote. Is it a hit? Is it a miss? Or is it a maybe? Okay, where does he go? Miss, 2 maybes and a miss. Ariel buys it, rank a maybe. Yeah, misses for me, actually, I think. Go on then, Ariel.
Look, again, if you handed it to me, I'd be like, oh, I know it's comfortable. It's definitely cool looking. It's by no means my favorite Richard Mille in the world. I could care less about the Le Mans Classic. I mean, I don't associate this futuristic watch with what I assume are older cars at all. That none of that makes sense to me. It's like the worst fit. So there's that issue. These colors are okay, but they feel like they're designed for a golf course, which I'm not on all the time. So it's sort of like free Richard Mille, great, but like it's unbelievably low on my list if I suddenly had Richard Mille money.
David?
Yeah, I actually, there are certain details that I like. I like how they kind of sort of, if you squint really hard, it maybe vaguely resembles details of a racetrack, that dial. Just barely. It looks like a destroyed racetrack. Yeah. And these are comfy to wear. Clearly a lot of effort goes into all these things, as it damn well should for this price, which is, I don't even know what it is. I don't remember. It was like 100 and something thousand. But it looks like something they could have debuted 20 years ago. And 220,000 Swiss francs. Okay, there we go. God. So see, it's like, I like the declutchable variable geometry rotor. That's a cool thing. And especially that it does it automatically. So whenever the watch is fully wound at 55 hours or whatever the power reserve is, it declutches, and when it reaches 40 hours, it re-engages so that it winds it up again. So it's not like it's just. But
the variable geometry you need the watchmaker to change, right?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's half a year. It goes back to service, and then no, it's probably not that long, but it's quite a bit. But probably you can pick up these screwdrivers from AliExpress or something, so you can do it for yourself. Anyway, comfy to wear, cool looking. You're in the top 1% of the top 1% if you have one of these on. So there's clearly a lot of status that Richard Mille has very carefully. It's taking good care of it, right? They have not ruined it. They have not gotten too greedy. They are not producing 60,000 watches. They're just producing 6,000. They're just sailing now. Then that's okay. I just wish that they had done something a little bit more or less, depending on whether you're looking at the watch or the press release or the way it's presented.
Replay?
I said it's a miss. I like Richard Mille quite a bit, but as Ariel mentioned, they're from a thematic perspective, a like hyper modern high tech watch for a classic car race. It just doesn't really make sense. Some of the details on the dial seem a bit kitschy and gift shoppy, like the little checkered thing, and not like racing dial sort of checkered thing, like the little checkered flag thing around like the date window or whatever. It's just not the one I would get among pretty much all of their watches. I'd end up choosing something else over this one. So, and at this price point too, I feel like you're free to be selective. As Ariel said, free Richard Mille, absolutely. I don't think I'd turn down a single thing they'd make, but this one would be really, really low down on my list of the ones I'd actually buy for myself.
Yeah. For me, though, I mean, I know it's a collaboration watch, but can they not collaborate with someone that's got a better logo? Especially seen as Ariel points out, Well,
why in God's name at 220,000 Swiss francs have they not found some sexy way to integrate that into the movement or on a bridge or something like that? It just looks so cheap, with it just sprayed on there like that.
I mean, it looks like the kind of thing you get in a roadside diner as like the logo on a menu.
Yeah, like we change oil or something. Diner
at the side of the road.
I mean, charge 250,000 Swiss francs and put that somewhere else on the watch. At this point, it's funny money, but like find a better way to integrate it. Put it on the
instruction manual and the case and nowhere near the watch. Just don't put it on the watch at all.
Guys, I have a call. I gotta bounce. Catch you guys next week. Sorry about that. Bye.
Just don't put it on the watch at all would be the secret, but there we go. Yeah, it's a miss from me. Anyway, there you have it. We shall continue a little bit post-match on the live channel for those that want to go and check that out. But for the main show, that is us for this week, and we will see you all again in a week or so's time. Cheerio. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.